Edition of Home and More brought to you by HMG Stones, and I have another architect. His name is Raja from OCD. Raja, firstly, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me over.
All right, and your firm is called OCD, and that's Office of Cognitive Design. Tell us about it. When did it start, and talk us through your journey?
Yeah, so OCD started 2015 with the concept of not being associated to any one single space.
Okay.
So we've always been conceptualized and driven as a collaborative firm. So we have people sitting out of different parts of India,
Right.
different parts of the world,
Right.
different professions coming
Right.
together to create a space.
Okay.
And we're a strategy-driven firm. So we think from both the left side and the right side. So
Right.
it's a cognitive design firm.
Right.
And that's how the name came up. It's an office of cognitive design. We're not restricted by any particular style or typology. We've done furniture, shoes, bikes. We've done temporary exhibitions, super luxury homes,
Right.
schools, corporate spaces, retail,
Right.
and a lot of restaurants.
Okay.
So we're not restricted by anything.
All right, that's nice. And also, you off air, you were telling me how you didn't have every other kid's problem. What do I do in life? I'm confused. It was always set in stone that you're going to be in this particular field, wasn't it?
Yeah. So interestingly, the journey didn't start from getting inducted into architecture school itself.
Right.
I've been visiting sites since I was a little toddler with my dad. And the process of getting something from paper to finish is always been a very exciting part of my life. And understanding the science and business behind each of these things was also something that I was very passionate about.
Right.
So right up from even architecture school, I was delivering projects. So my first house was when I was 17. And it was a very natural transition into opening a design firm for me.
Okay.
I was not confused at all, as you say.
Right. All right. Well, Raja is going to be here for a while. This is Home and More, of course. And if you have any questions, any queries related to architecture, you can send it across to 9900100919, or you could send us an email on homeandmore@hmgstones.com. And stick around. And also, he did mention he uses both left and right. That's what you said. And I think it's voting season. Maybe that's great advice. Raja, you also told me that you work a little differently. That seemed very interesting. You have a very holistic approach to your designs. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so we're driven by strategy, as I explained, and not by a style or type of project. Let's take the restaurants that we do, for example.
Right.
We try to understand the cuisine, the price point and what that cuisine is served, your clientele, and build an experience around it.
Right.
Let's take a home, for example. Understanding how you come into this house, how you leave your keys, how you'd like to entertain your friends, how you'd like to change your clothes.
Right.
All this actually matters to us more than just a color or texture. They're all results of what you require.
What if your client is an introvert? No, I mean, revealing too many details about himself or herself, no.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. But the profession of architecture is not, architecture and interior design is not just about knowing how to make a space.
Right.
But it's also a lot of people skills.
Right.
And in the course of building a space which could be anywhere from a month to 2 years, a lot of your clients, 99% of the clients, spill the beans and tell you
Right.
everything that's close to them. And
Right.
it is our professional duty to hold that close to us, and also make them very comfortable to actually share what they really require. Without that sharing, you can't really create a space.
This is absolutely quite amazing. I mean, I've had so many different architects, and no one has ever had this sort of an approach, and I find it very interesting. So you really have to get to know your client before you work for them. So how long is that process like? I mean, how do you get to know them? Are you just talking to them? Are you having a chat? Are they filling up a questionnaire? How does it work?
So each type of project has a different approach to it. As a design thinking, I have a master's in design thinking, and one of the things that you learn in design thinking is interview.
Okay.
It's to know how to base an interview for a particular type of person or a particular type of project, right?
Right.
So it could vary from an hour to even an entire day. And we do have some standard forms that we have created, standard set of questions to understand each business, each requirement, each home.
Right.
So it's very varied.
Tell me, are you OCD as a person?
I think the third person has to answer that. Maybe my wife has to answer that.
But what do you get from her? Any? Does she think you're OCD or?
No, she's a very gentle soul.
So she's not going to say it even if she believes
people
it.
Who know her will know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
All right. So Raja, also, I mean, very interesting approach to how you approach work. I got to know that off air as well, and now during this interview. And you also mentioned that you collaborate with a lot of people. You in fact mentioned psychologists, designers, people who have nothing to do with the field as well, just to get that holistic approach to your design, and also other architects within your domain. So you clearly not insecure.
Yeah, I mean, there's only fun in collaborating. So I'll give you two examples.
Right.
Collaboration in design with a psychologist.
Right.
We are doing a series of co-working spaces. And the way that you get someone attached to a space has a lot to do with how your reptilian mind works. And we found out that, in Europe, they allow co-working space users to actually bring their pet in. That's because you tend to have a sense of home when you bring your pet, and you're taking care of something, you're nurturing something.
Right.
So here we implemented something with plants. So as soon as you take a seat, you get a plant, and by watering the plant and taking care of that plant, even if you're a freelancer and you don't want to go back to work, in the back of your mind you're actually getting to work without knowing why you're getting into work, and it's actually work wonders. But with architects, let's say, even though they're all designers, we're also contractors to other architects.
Right.
So it started off where architects came to us and told us they like furniture in our spaces that we've made. So we started supplying furniture to a lot of architects around India.
All right.
And now we do a lot of interior contracting in the name of Makebot to other architects and interior designers.
All right, that's lovely. And tell me, how does this sort of an approach work with them? I mean, do they see this and are they surprised? I mean, what's the reactions you get from them?
So there's a clear problem in the contracting industry. Is you're filled with unskilled labor or unskilled management as well.
Right.
So it helps that I am an architect and I can see from the perspective of an architect.
Okay.
And I tend to understand details, and we have just how we do the research with the clients.
Right.
There is a process where we actually break down the design along with the architect before we hand it over to our contracting team.
Right.
And that helps a lot in terms of taking the architect's vision and bringing it to paper.
All right.
And so I believe that they see a lot of value in it because the architects that have taken us on board have given us multiple projects again and again.
All right. Raja, I mean, you've done several projects in the city as well. And what is that one project that you're really, really proud of?
So there's a project in Bombay that we did. It's called Jam Jar. And it's on Hill Road.
Okay.
Why I'm particularly proud of that is that's the first restaurant that actually sparked off a relationship with the company that has given us 4 other restaurants, including Champaka in Bangalore.
Okay.
And Jam Jar was also the place where I proposed to my wife.
Okay.
So the day that we got that contract, a lot of things were designed around the experience as well.
You got another contract.
Yeah. So there was a niche that actually we created, and that's where I kept the ring to actually propose to her in Jam Jar.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so it's a very, very dear project to us.
All right, and you go back there on an anniversary or go back to that particular restaurant in Bombay?
We go often to Bombay, so whenever we visit Bombay, we go there, not particularly for anniversaries, but we go there.
Whenever you get a chance to. Okay, that is lovely. And also, tell me, this is something that I ask all the architects who come down. What is your idea of a dream home?
Yeah, so as a company that really works around people's needs, my idea of my dream home I'll talk about.
Okay.
So I love a small space in a large farm. So I also live in a small space within the city. So my dream home would be probably an acre or two of
land and a small space.
Land that where we're growing our own crops and where a couple of dogs can run around. Right. And a small, tight, minimal house that's lifted off the land itself, overlooking the entire land. That would be where I can have a lot of guests come in. And
sounds like perfection. But the city, unfortunately, you just can't do that in the city anymore. Would you move away from the city just to get that dream home done?
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
All right, I guess you always have to make a choice. Raja, thank you so much for joining us on Home and More. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise.